Hi guys, it's Rosalie, and I'm filming in my garage today because I didn't feel like filming in my room. And this video is going to be more personal, I guess, and it's about how to cope with anxiety because I've had really bad anxiety since about 8th grade, but I've dealt with it since 6th grade. The first thing I did that helped me cope with my anxiety a lot is reading Did I Ever Wake Up by Maud's Son, because that has really useful things in there, and some of those things are on the list of how to deal with anxiety. So my number one thing that I say for coping with anxiety is don't do drugs when you're anxious or to deal with anxiety, because if you do drugs, your mind will automatically go to that when you're anxious. And like smoking cigarettes or doing anything, just don't do that to cope with anything. Trust me, I've learned it is a bad idea. Your mind will want to do that drug or smoke that cigarette whenever you feel anxiety coming on. So don't do that, because it can be a very addictive thing. Number 2, these are things that you can do at any time to help distract you or help you let out your anxiety if you're at school or in public, and I learned some of these from my school counselor, so yeah. This tea's hotter than I thought it would be. One thing is finger touching. So sometimes when I get anxious, I do this, but I count in my head, so I'll be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, like that. Just like taking your fingers and doing that helps a lot because it helps you focus on something else and you're counting, and it takes your mind off of the anxiety. So that's something really helpful, and this is like one of the first things that I ever learned to do. Or just going like this helps a lot because you're focusing on feeling something else, and it just takes your mind off of the anxiety. Another one is box breathing. You breathe in like 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's box breathing. And then this is an exercise I learned from my school counselor. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can write this down when you're doing it, or you can just think it in your head. But 5 is 5 things you see, 4 is 4 things you hear, 3 is 3 things you can touch, 2 is 2 things you can smell, and 1 is 1 thing you're looking forward to. And the reason you do this is because it also takes your mind off of the anxiety and makes you focus on something that's not that. This one is what I learned from Maud's Son. It's called the drawer. So if you imagine that you have a drawer inside your head, there's a top drawer, a middle drawer, and a bottom drawer. So the top drawer holds all of your happy thoughts, the middle holds all of your neutral thoughts, and the bottom holds all of your bad thoughts. So when you feel a bad thought coming into your head, slam it into the bottom drawer, and then take a happy thought out of your top drawer and replace the bad thought with a happy thought. This helps you change how you're thinking. Along with the changing how you're thinking, instead of saying like everything sucks and I'm so anxious, say I'm okay, or this is okay, or everything will be okay. Because that takes your bad thought into a positive thought. And that's kind of like what Maud's Son says, your mentality is your reality. So if you don't know what your mentality is, because I wasn't really quite sure what it was for a while, it's your attitude and the way you think. So if you think negatively, you will become a negative person. But if you think positively, you will become a positive person, and you will think happier thoughts in your life. So even though anxiety is a really hard thing to get rid of, and it takes a lot of energy to do so, if you replace all of your thoughts that induce anxiety with positive thoughts, then you will be more positive and have less anxiety. Another trick I learned is the 4 A's. The 4 A's are avoid, alter, accept, and adapt. So you can do all of these or do one of them in certain situations. So the first A, avoid, is basically you take control of your surroundings. Like, don't talk to anyone that will induce your anxiety or be around things that will induce your anxiety. Alter is if you can't change it. Like for me at school, if people tap their pencils, it like makes me feel frozen and like I can't move, and it makes me feel super anxious. And I don't know why that is, but it happens. That's one of the things that induces anxiety for me. So what I do is like I ask people to stop tapping their pencils. So that's how you could alter the situation, or you could communicate your feelings openly so that people know how this like specific situation is affecting you, and they can help you change it or help you get out of it. The third A is accept. Instead of getting anxious, say I would prefer for this not to be happening, but it's okay that this is. So again, it's kind of like the thought blocking where you change your mentality into your reality. Okay, the fourth A is adapt. Instead of letting yourself give into those negative thoughts, adapt your thoughts to say like, it'll be okay, or look at the big picture and think of how right now like what's happening this second won't affect your life in the long run. Other things that you can do when you're at home or whatever, if you're at school and your teachers will let you do this, then do this. You can listen to music, go on Tumblr, read, write, do anything that will distract you, or play video games. But I don't think that watching TV is something that will distract you, because you don't have to think about it. Like when you're writing or drawing or playing a video game or reading, your mind has to be on that because you're focusing on it and you're making that specific thing happen. But when you're watching TV, you're just looking at something, so that gives you more time to give into your anxious thoughts. Something that I was really scared to do for a really long time was to tell my parents or an administrator or somebody who could actually help me, and I relied on myself for so long. And I just this year, so it's been about 2.5 years that I've had really severe anxiety. I just finally told somebody. So like with school, it got to the point where like I couldn't control my anxiety and I would have to leave class because I was so anxious, or like sometimes I'd even just like end up crying during class because like I couldn't control the situation and there was so much noise around me and like it was just really bad. So I finally talked to my school counselor, Miss Dorsey. Miss Dorsey's the best, I love her. And she gave me a lot of techniques to help me deal with it, and she told my parents, well, she called my mom, and she told her that I had talked to her that day and that she thought that it would be good for me to go to therapy or like get some help like medically or just like deal with it. So after she told my parents, I was very in charge of how I wanted to deal with it. I didn't decide to get therapy because therapy or like a counselor, I don't want that because I don't want to go tell a random stranger my problems, which a lot of teenagers don't. So instead I decided to go to like a natural doctor and get supplements. And the reason I chose supplements is because when you take chemically altered pills or pills that have a bunch of chemicals in them, they can make you feel numb or kind of dead, or just like you're functioning but you're not really alive, because it takes the highs down and it takes the lows down too. So it's like you're kind of just stuck in the middle of like kind of being numb, I guess. So I got some natural enzymes and I found out that my adrenal gland, which is the gland that deals with stress and anxiety, was way smaller than it needed to be, because adrenaline is what deals with your stress and anxiety. So if you have a lot of stress and anxiety or depression for long periods of time, it'll drain your adrenal gland. These supplements have made such a difference in my life because I can actually function now and I don't get as anxious. And it helps a lot because like I now have the means to deal with it and I have the enzymes in my body to deal with it. And a lot of people think it's not chemical or like it might not run in your family. Like I thought I was just anxious and depressed because of what was going on. But when you're anxious and depressed, it affects your body a lot. So I would recommend going to a natural doctor over like a normal medical doctor. And also, I found out that caffeine, which I drank a lot, was adding to my anxiety because when you drink caffeine, it kind of taxes your adrenal gland. Caffeine is a big thing that if you have anxiety or depression, it'll really affect how you think and you feel. Also, telling your teachers what's happening and about your anxiety will help you a lot, because then they'll understand more if you need to listen to music or go out in the hall and take a breather, or if you need to go talk to your school counselor. Because your teachers don't know how to help you if you won't tell them how to. Anxiety is a really hard thing to deal with, and it's not easy, but if you use some of these things, it'll help you a lot. But you have to be willing to give them a chance, because if you aren't willing to give them a chance and they don't work the first time, then it's not going to get better. You can't just expect results the first time, or if you get medicine, you can't just expect results within the first week. Like, you have to wait a little bit for everything to work. But if you keep practicing these things or keep taking your supplements, then it'll help you a lot. I hope that you liked this video and you learned something from it. I might make a little series of these like how to deal with how to cope with anxiety, how to cope with depression, how to cope with anxiety at school, like things like that. So if you like this, let me know. I will leave all of these things in the description below. I'll also like put a link to Maudsun's book because that helped me a lot. And if you have any more questions, just comment, inbox me. You can inbox me on Twitter or Tumblr or Instagram, like anyway. But yeah, if you need any help or suggestions, you can talk to me. Yeah. I hope you like this video. Bye!